We are connected. Hopefully we are live. Trying a few more tricks tonight. Again, folks, welcome to tonight's live chat. And we're about to get started here. Just getting to make sure a few housekeeping issues going on here. Hopefully that is coming up. I always ask for some feedback. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly? Can you see me? You might not want to see me, but can you see me? And are we on live yet? Video output low. Well, let's say, okay. Just checking. Somebody talk to me and give me some feedback. Always appreciate knowing that I'm not just talking to this microphone here and this video camera. So, all right. Well, tonight's show, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few things. And, all right, thanks, Adam, for letting me know you can hear me. And there's some other people, Mr. Darby. And sounds good, see and hear you. All right, that's what I wanted. Thanks a lot, folks. Again, welcome to Engineer775 channel or show. And we've got a lot to cover. I typically started out just kind of a warm-up to kind of cover some of the topics that I've been involved with this week, projects and topics and things. So I'm going to show you some of those. I got a lot pulled up here. Hopefully the computer that we just finished building will be able to handle this and not crash on me. So that will be the trick. Before I start, there's one thing I wanted to share, and let's see if it shows up here. Okay. This is, let's go back up to, wow, when you really need somebody to run. Yeah, okay. One of the things we were going to do today, if David Manning shows up on here, and David, if you are here, just let me know that you are. Last week, David has a farm up in Pennsylvania, and he wanted to possibly be a guinea pig for us tonight to talk about how to design a water pumping system using a well and to take it off grid using solar and to possibly water animals and fill gardens through irrigation and take care of your home. Hey Chin, how you doing, sir? So people are coming on, that's great. So we got a guinea pig and his name's David Manning. He gave me some of the information he emailed to me, and we're going to kind of use his place. But before we do that, when we talk about helping people that are farmers or permaculture people or any homesteaders out there that are homesteaders, I wanted to share there's two programs that are available to us across the country, and one is the NRCS programs. Let me just talk to you a little bit about this. The NRCS program, it's called the National Resource Conservation Service. You can look this up. It's under the USDA. A lot of people don't know about it. Thought I'd share it with you tonight. And there's two programs under that. All these acronyms. There's EQIP, and then there's the High Tunnel System Initiative. Okay, these two programs are amazing. Most people that I meet don't know anything about them, have never heard of such a thing. But I try to share it with as many people as I can, and this way they can take advantage of the resources that are out there, both the technical resources and the financial resources. Okay? And so the NRCS offers the EQIP program, which is for those that are raising livestock, and that's why David Manning brought that up to me today, just kind of brought that up in my thoughts. Just I better share this with everybody. There's a cool program that allows you to get funding to take your animals and get them out of watersheds, get them out of rivers and streams that would be flowing and possibly putting fecal bacteria, E. coli, into the water. And so what the program pays for is they pay for wells, they pay for water pumping stations, and they also provide money for fencing and piping and waters. And if you go through the process and if you're interested, you just need to contact your local NRCS agent in your county, and you will find that they're very helpful. I've worked with a bunch of them. At least they are in South Carolina. There are 32 watersheds in our state, and I've worked with several of the different departments under the EQIP program. And what is really cool is that they'll kind of help you design a rotational grazing system, and that's really awesome. And then you basically do the work, and then they'll come back and they'll check and they'll reimburse you for the work that you've done within probably a week to 2 weeks. And it's a cost share program, and they're not going to do the work for you, but they're going to provide the funds to do the job. So wells, pumps, piping, fencing, everything to make a nice little farm. If you've never taken advantage of it before, there's a thing called a Young Rancher. You can sign up and take advantage of that program. So I wanted to share that. Check it out. I've seen people get from $8,000 to $25,000 in their checking account, depending on the size of the project. And it's pretty good. Some people don't want to mess around with the government, and I totally understand, and there's many reasons. Not going to get into that tonight. I just want to share with you a lot of people don't know about this. And the other thing is the high tunnel initiative. If you want to grow food, there are these high tunnels. Check out Growers Supply. They produce these high tunnels. If you want to check out their catalogs, pretty cool. And under the NRCS program for the high tunnels, they'll actually fund you constructing a high tunnel on your property to grow food, and that's really awesome. So that's something that you should take advantage of if you're interested. It's a really good boost to. I've seen it be a great boost to young families and to try to get farming and get going, and you get a lot of help with how to do drip irrigation, how to do to actually grow food in these high tunnels. You're basically stretching out your growing season, and there's a lot of neat things. So 2 programs, had to share it with you tonight. Hope that's helpful to some folks. Looks the video, I have it back. Okay, so hopefully we're broadcasting okay here tonight. So the other thing I'm gonna get to is the thought process here. So I don't know, has David actually shown up yet? I don't think he has. What is a high tunnel? High tunnel, John, is basically a greenhouse, but it is basically a big hoop house. It's double layered, heavy duty UV treated plastic with this hoop metal frame. It's got end walls that have doors, and there's fans, and but you're growing on the ground. You actually can bring a tractor in the end wall and rototill and farm. You can set up benches. You can grow food however you would like and pick whatever crop you'd like. So it's basically a greenhouse, and they're all different sizes. And several of my customers have done them, and I've basically been contracted to provide water to them, hook up water to the drip irrigation system that is also designed, sometimes even funded. So if you time this right, you can actually get a well, a high tunnel, solar water pumps, the irrigation system, and it'll all be paid for. You got to do some work, but when all this equipment is paid for, that's a tremendous boost to your food production, or just allowing you to be sustainable quicker. So yes, it's a greenhouse, Adam. You're exactly right. So what else? I want to get my let's see if I can get my Google Photos up here. Google Photos, and show you some other cool things we've been working on. Oh, there we are. The photos this week. Okay, let's go back to OBS, and maybe you can see some of these. Let's I don't know why. Let's go to the album. That's why. So I jumped in here. Just wanted to tell you about the NRCS before it was too late. So, oh gosh, you got to see 2 of me. That's pretty scary. So the beginning of the week, we did some commissioning of a wood boiler system. Got it working. Changed out a water heater. I love thermal siphoning. So along the hydronics line. Let me get my chat window back up here in case I'm missing you folks. Okay. All right. How do you feel about hydroponics? I feel hydroponics is great. I think hydroponics is better than aquaponics. That's a subject for another day. How do the high tunnels stand up to wind and hail? So far, so good. Been through some pretty violent storms that I've seen and are doing really well. All right. So, okay. So some of the projects this week, maybe this will trigger some questions for you. Swapped out a very short water heater for this Westinghouse stainless steel water heater. Really nice water heater, 80 gallon. and I put a sidearm heat exchanger on it. And you can see the coils up in here. The coils were installed for winter heating of the home. We can do water 24/7 year round, but this I had to take out their existing water heater because it just was too short for the thermal siphoning process. I could have done with a pump, but if I can do it without electricity, that's my favorite. So I convinced the homeowner to do that, and so I was able to commission this system this week. So that was we did that early on in the week, and then here's some of the relays my buddy helped me with. Basically, the way we set up a wood boiler is that we have one thermostat in the house that controls each air handler. So we don't add a thermostat for the wood boiler. We use a system of relays, and we have a Honeywell thermocouple system with a switch, a relay. And so what the homeowner only has to set their temperature in their home, whether it's on cooling or heating, and it will work with the system. So I was kind of the guinea pig on this, and I destroyed several relays and messed up my air handler. The reason I wanted to do it was to get to where you could just have the homeowner set the temperature, and they didn't have to do anything crazy seasonally. So how far will I travel for a job? We've traveled a long way. I've driven to the Ozark, Lake Ozark, in Missouri, gone to Texas, and so I've gone quite a ways. Aeroponics. I don't know what aeroponics is. If you meant aquaponics, that's another subject. So I see you need to get. I so need to get some NEMA 3R cabinets. Okay, I'm not exactly sure the context of the NEMA 3R, but if they're outside, yes, I agree with you. All right. So, hey, folks coming in here, great. And all right, cool. So going on, so we got the system. Oh man, I threw this in there. My daughter making fun of me this week, making a meme out of me. So I didn't think that was too funny, but that's what she did. Thanks. Anyway, also it was pretty cool. I just want to share this with you. It's kind of totally off subject, but there was a bluegrass band, the family called the Band of Kellys, and they wrote a song that they wanted me. They contacted me, and they wrote a song that they thought fit me. It's called Mountain Man Dream, and so I'm going to have it in some of my YouTube videos because they gave me permission to use it. Really talented family of bluegrass musicians, and so anyway, I took Elijah and went and checked them out. Very talented family. So anyway, thanks to those guys. Thanks, Band of Kellys, for allowing me to use your music on my YouTube videos. Great family. All right, and then I got under this is some of my ugly crawl space, and I'm starting to figure out how to add my chiller and how I want to plumb this thing. I think I came up with how I want to backfeed. These are kind of some of when I put my wood boiler in 12 years ago, these manifolds and valves system allow me to heat my water, heat my house, and blah blah blah. So I'm gonna hook a chiller to that this week. Then did a little scary work here on a lift. We had a boom lift to put up some wind turbines on this building in Georgia, working with Johnny Valentine. Johnny's up in the lift on this one. So we got a 50-foot boom lift to get up here. It's kind of sketchy. Got it done. Pretty scary, actually. The rental place was even worse. It was made me not too confident in the lift. Here's me testing the weight capacity, carrying capacity. There's Johnny up here. You can see him up here. So we set up these little Primus Air wind turbines on this building. We set up 2 of them, and one on this end, and this picture doesn't show up, but one on the other end. And so we did some wind. So I switched completely from boilers to wind, and then did some work on the inside, and then finished up this week back in the water where I like to live. Finishing up an awesome solar water pumping job. Yeah, no, Elijah he is wore out. Today was his last day of school, and he is just he's probably passed out now. He's very tired. So but way above my pay grade. Interesting. What's way above your pay grade, William? I'm not sure. what you're referring to. I was offering some free stuff, yeah, out there, so with those high tunnels and things. But anyhow, was working on pumping water. It's my favorite thing to do with solar. Great PV Direct. I got a pump running. This is actually producing 65 gallons a minute, and so we were able to get that done nicely this week. Pumping water to fill up a wetlands for a local university. It was a General Electric grant that provided the money in conjunction with the university in their biology department. That's where my children go. I just use this project to go down there and spy on them, but anyway, they don't know that. So we had a lot of fun and met a really cool guy, Frank Ferre, who has been involved with drones. He sells drones, he flies drones, he works with drones. He's done it for, oh boy, since 2002, maybe 2003. So you want to check out Carolina Drones. I'll put some information out. I'm going to do a separate video about Frank, and had a great, he gave us such an education today. So flat enough. All right, we gotta remove and block some folks already, of course. I saw those turbines at several big box stores. They froze up after a year. No, Vaughn, I don't know what you're talking about. Vaughn, tell me which one. They don't sell those at big box stores. There's a lot of turbines out there. True. The Primus Air, I've never seen them at a big box store. I don't believe that. So, which model and what brand? Yeah, water. Yes, that's me. Did I miss? I don't know if our guinea pig showed up here tonight. Boot those trolls. Yes, sir, John. I think I just did. Anyway, yeah. And then there's some more. Let me show you. You've got this. It's this the Inspire. This thing is just amazing. So we're talking about a $4,000 drone and all the accessories and extra batteries. I think he had $5,000 in this thing. He was so gracious. He came down to our site today and filmed this thing for free. I said I really wanted to get some drone footage of this project. He came down, brought all his drones, shot some awesome stuff, sent it to me. I haven't had time to compile it or go through it. I'll share some cool videos with you. So here's just some takeoff pictures. This is Frank. Carolina Drones with a Z. If you want some more information, the guy knows his stuff. Here's some cool shots. This is the project. This is, kind of a very wooded. There's a wetland over here in this area to the left of the solar panels. So obviously there was no power down in this area. I'm pumping water out of this river and pumping it into this wetlands to flood it, to have the biology department determine the amount of life that is added to that. They've already inventoried all the plant species and some of the animals and down to the insects, and they're going to see what adding water does to it, and they're going to it's part of their biology department. So it was not a preparedness project, not a sustainability project really, but kind of a science project that I'm involved with. So having a lot of fun there. So okay, it works. The chat got disconnected. What happened? I have no idea. I cannot tell. Would a Sundancer, I've got some of your questions here popping. Would a Sundancer with ice bottles and piping through it to radiator be feasible as an AC alternative? Yes, it depends on where you live and if you can actually cool it, if you have enough power. It's hard. The Sundancer depends on how much space that you need to cool, but that whole process will work, but it'll take a lot of energy to do so. A lot of it depends on the load. How big of a room are you trying to cool? Monsieur. The chat got disconnected. What happened? Okay, all right. I don't know why it's dropping out. I don't know, guys, when this thing drops out, does it drop out on your end or drop out on mine? I'm doing about 30 megabits per second here on my off-grid solar internet connection. So I don't know if that's you or me. So I'm still working on that. Can you give me some numbers on those wind things someday? Yeah, there were $895 for the wind turbines that we put up this week. And so Let me show you. Yeah, they're small, but they are, as you can see, they already had a nice solar system. They got a Magnum off-grid system that Johnny installed at Gain Solar, and you know he gets a really good wind across this field. There's a big field, you really can't see it, and we didn't want to put up a separate tower, so we mounted some small turbines to one on each end of this building. Kind of looks cool, and it does provide some supplemental charging when there's storms, when it's wintertime, obviously at night when the solar's not doing anything. So the customer wanted them, and so we obliged and put them on there. So back to the drone, solar water pumping, and then finished up pumping, getting this thing working. Very happy with the performance. You will not believe how quiet that pump is. The Suncentric is just totally awesome. And again, moving about 65 gallons a minute. Loud and clear in Connecticut. Okay, we have seen Connecticut, Pennsylvania, got people all over the place. All right, it'd be cool for me if you just put in your state, and I'm curious where people are coming from here. What do you think of the HY1000, Peter? I don't know, Peter. I don't know what you mean by the HY1000. Tell me what you mean. You come. California, Phoenix, cool, awesome. That's kind of cool. Yeah, if you don't mind just shouting out. I have a creek down the hill around 21 to 25 feet lower than our veggie garden. How would you pump water up without electric? Solar panels, fuel power pump. Definitely solar. Got a lot of options there, Benjamin. Again, it helps if you send me an email so I can really make sure you get the right pump and design. I'm putting my email in the chat right now, so that might help you. You can't say brand names in live chat, can you? What? James, is that true? I have no idea. I do. Got Florida, Athens, Greece. That's great, Matthew in Greece. I appreciate that. Turkey, France. This is very helpful to me. Thank you, folks. Kentucky, Michigan, Ontario, Florida, South Carolina, Mississippi. SoCal, Southern Cal, nice, Roby. All right, North Cal, Charlotte, 5x5 military. Not sure what the question is there. So we did a lot of cool stuff. Let me get back to who didn't I shout out to? Oh yeah, Troy Dotson was another gentleman we're working with, and trying to get his hydronic system spec'd out here with the new Chilltrix chiller. And again, if you want, if you interested in our newsletter, I give a lot of information out on our products and what's going on in a newsletter. Send me an email, and that'll put you on the list, and I can get my monthly newsletter. Scandinavia, flat enough. I did find out that I'm 70% Scandinavian myself. My grandmother's from Sweden, and did my DNA testing, and I found out that I came back 70% Scandinavian. So I guess I feel like I'm a Viking or something, and so I've started eating lots of Baltic Sea something. Pickled herring. Yeah, the house just really stinks since I became a Viking. But yeah, anyway, I saw that Scandinavia thing. It sparked that. Sorry, that's off. Fantastic. You can expect my email. Okay, Virginia, California. A lot of Californias. I guess maybe that's a good time for you. New Jersey. Hey, Joyzy. Yeah, no dropout here in Jersey. Good. South Texas. Forget about it. All right, awesome. Have you ever used evacuated solar tubes? I haven't, Pure Vita. I want to. We've got a Gear Solar here that makes evacuated tubes in South Carolina, not too far from me. They've invited me to come over. I need to come over and check their stuff out. I've got three flat plate solar heat exchangers, but the evacuated tubes are pretty exciting. No, I have not, Peter. I have not used the HY1000 wind turbine, but I am about to use the Pika wind turbine and hook it to our system. You're going to like that. That's a 380 volt wind turbine. Super quiet. Have many awards for how quiet it is. And all right, thank you, Benjamin. Appreciate that. What's your view on Tesla? Okay, this comes up all the time. Tesla, Tesla, Tesla. Elon Musk was very smart in how he picked Tesla's name. Nikolai Tesla was a genius. Just read some of the history, the things he created, his writings, his inventions. Just an amazing scientist. Now, all right, so the Powerwall and all this stuff's been talked about now for a couple of years. You can't even get your hands on it. I've never seen one other than at a solar show. And the DC coupled one went away. Now it's AC coupled. Now it's not very practical to hook it up with solar, and I don't know. And then the Tesla, the roof shingles, and there's people that like Apollo Roof Systems and Certainty that have had solar shingles out for a long time. So Tesla's done an amazing job at marketing and making money. Awesome cars, but when it comes to the power walls and the solar gadgets, I don't know. All right, so we got some people we need to block here. Okay, I guess we block them. All right, cool. Sorry about some of these trolls in here. My moderator is just falling asleep, so I'm flying solo tonight. The Tesla question. Sorry I went off on a rant there, but the Tesla is just a joke. In my opinion, they have not produced anything that the average solar installer can get his hands on, and they keep changing designs. It's very expensive, and so that's not, it's not cool. So I need help with a boiler to make into a generator. Ooh boy, yeah. So you want to make a steam engine? Yeah, the Rankine cycle, the most efficient thermodynamic cycle, Ed, in the world. Is that Ed Turner, Josh's dad? Ed Turner, is that the one? I think it is. Yeah, we need to talk. We need to talk about that. That's why I went into gasification. It's a little safer if you want to make a generator. I don't know if you saw my gasification videos, but the gasifier will run a generator very nicely. What do you think about sun solar panels? Bakir, the gentleman in Turkey, the question comes up a lot. It's the tracking is. We're gonna do some tracking. We're gonna build our own tracker just for fun. We'll probably do a passive solar, maybe an active tracker. If I could put tracking on my system, I'd like to check it out. But there's a lot of maintenance issues. Johnny Valentine from Gain Solar he just went to a absolutely huge solar farm that had trackers, and they were all messed up. They basically went there, and the thing was they were twitching. They were all at different angles. They failed. So there's some problems with it. Yes, you want to get as much as you can out of your panels, but with panels being so cheap today compared to what they were 2, 3, 4, 7 years ago, the trackers have kind of faded a little bit, in my opinion. Okay, James Dart, AC couple is basically done before Tesla. Magnum Dimensions. Yeah, Magnum is awesome. We're going to be doing a with Gain Solar. We're going to do their new GT500 grid tie inverters Magnum just came out with. Magnum's doing great with their power track, charge controllers, their GT500s. So there's some cool stuff there. This technology changes all the time. Okay, Ed, I got you. Turning a boiler into a generator. And I'm assuming you're talking steam engine. So drop night. I don't know why I'm dropping. Able to watch while spraying cornfields. Now that's pretty cool. How are you doing that, Smoke Jumper? Are you actually a crop duster? Or are you on a tractor? Hopefully you're not flying and watching YouTube. That's neat. And you cannot use a... Okay, well, I don't... Which is not likely to happen. Thanks. Yeah, be very careful about the boiler making steam. I mean, steam engines, there's tons of... You can't get any more efficient. That's why, Ed, when we talk about making power, I think that the organic Rankine cycle holds the key for people that want to make electricity. Hey, Tony, how you doing? Great to see you. The key to making electricity, I believe, is an organic Rankine cycle. Just check it out. Google organic Rankine cycle. It allows you to use a lower temperature, but you're still using, you're using a refrigerant that'll boil off at a lower temperature in order to turn an expander fancy word for a turbine, and whether it's magnetically coupled to a motor and you're making power that way. So it's awesome. So check out Organic Rankine Cycle. A Turboden is one on an industrial scale. Will give you an idea of a very complicated system, but they are very successful. There's more energy from heat than is produced. You can produce. There's so much waste heat in our country. So much more than solar, wind, all the renewables combined cannot touch the energy that we could be using from waste heat. So that's where I think the Organic Rankine Cycle will fly. So that's just my 2 cents. John Deere self-propelled sprayer, nice. Has RTK. I'm assuming that's GPS, real time. I'm not sure what RTK is on the John Deere smoke jumper. That's cool. There's a gentleman, I don't know where he is, probably Midwest, on his tractor, watching YouTube Live while his tractor automatically drives and he's spraying his corn. That's really cool. Open source ecology. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Bakir. I guess our guinea pig didn't show up tonight. Maybe he didn't find his well. Are you here, David Manning? I didn't want to do this without him. I was going to kind of walk him through it, but he didn't show. So, but I can still do it, but maybe I'll wait. All right, you got some awesome questions here. Have you looked at smart flower? Yeah, a lot of people ask me about this smart flower. It's kind of showing up on Facebook and a lot of social media. And why am I on this? It's a gimmick. It's not enough surface area, in my opinion, solar wise. It's cool. It folds up. It's a flower. It's a decoration. It's not a real power producing a piece of equipment, in my opinion. It has like 3 motors on it, and so it's not very. It's just not. It's just not. It's just not the way to go. So it's just not efficient. So just put up solar on a ground mount, keep solar. All right, my 2 cents on solar, since I've done now some of my own projects and a lot of projects in partnership with Gain Solar Services with Johnny Valentine, we don't want to do solar on a roof anymore. We'll do it if we have to, but solar on the ground with good heavy-duty ground mount allows you to not have any penetrations or any places of failure on your home. It allows you to orient the solar in the best possible way you can orient it to get the most power. They're easier to clean, easier to maintain, and just think of having to pull you have to hire somebody to pull all that solar off your roof if you have a roof failure. And that's, I know these companies are making tons of money putting up grid tie and slapping solar on your roof. But nobody ever thinks down the road 8-10 years if that roof needs to be replaced and how much it's going to cost to basically rebuild that solar array on there. It's a lot of money, but nobody ever talks about it. So we like a ground mount. Keep the solar separate if you can. If you don't have room, totally got you. But anyway, have you heard of these Cycle C2 turbines? Have you heard of the new closed cycle C2 turbines? Is that closed like in or is it closed cycle C2 turbines? I have not. I'll have to check that out. Biogas on your property. Which made me think, but Cyclone engine is another heat engine. Like we were talking about waste heat, the Cyclone engine is an amazing invention. It has the potential to beat diesel. It's scalable, uses any fuel source that you can throw at it. Has no radiator, no oil. It uses water. Of course, I like it because it's a water engine. It's a heat engine using water. It's just phenomenal. And I don't know why. The Department of Energy has spent a lot of money, but look up Cyclone engines. I'm not sure of C2 turbines. When I think of expanders and organic Rankine cycles, it's Air Squared out in Colorado. And I can't remember the other expander company, but Air Squared will get you down a rabbit hole if you want to chase that. And so, would you consider producing biogas on your property to run that steam generator you speak of? I don't have enough cows really to produce enough biogas. If I did a biogas, it'd probably be for cooking, and not. I don't know. I've seen biodigesters. I don't have enough. I don't think I have enough animals to do that. Hello from Dogwood Farms. Solar cooled kennels. Mr. Stewart, good to hear from you. I'm glad. I hope those dogs. We did a solar air conditioning system for a dog kennel up in North Carolina, and that was a really fun project. And it was just a perfect match of technology for the application, and so they have the coolest dog kennel in the country, literally. So people like dropping their animals off. Their animals are well taken care of, and during these hot summer days, the hotter it gets, the more cooling we can make for the pooches. So when it gets really hot outside and they get to come inside the kennel, they are able to stay cool. So thanks for that feedback. They are wonderfully cool today. Well, that is a great thing to hear. So I appreciate the feedback there. Let me know when we can help you. We talked to you about your system. I have your inverter in my shop when you're ready. So just keep that in mind, Stuart. Doc Ops, good to see you, sir. I would like to know options for off-grid water heating during the summer months. Good. I mean, it was mentioned a little bit earlier. The evacuated tubes, solar thermal is still viable. It can be expensive, but then a lot of times, and I tell people just the on-demand propanes are good. You don't have to spend a lot of money. The eco temps, you're spending 150 to 250 on a decent amount, about 3-4 gallons a minute of hot water using an eco temp. The IV12 is their newest model, and it's just running on some propane. So if you consider propane Doc Ops, you got a lot of options there on the on-demand. You can spend a ton of money on the Renai, the Noritz. So there's a lot of options there. So I'm a big fan of the propane off-grid. It doesn't take a lot of propane to make hot water, and it takes very little electricity on the on-demands to do that. The tank water heaters are good too. If you have another way, I can heat with the wood boiler. I have unlimited hot water year-round, and so that's an option for you. Samurai Carpenter did not have kind words for the Norwood sawmill product he bought. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I've seen the Norwood, and I like some of the Norwood products, but I've only familiar and have used here at my house is the Wood Miser, and we had a wonderful timber frame project here using the Wood Miser, and so I had a Kohler engine on it. Great. We were cutting 24-foot timbers, 10 by 10s, and 10 inch by 10 inch by 40 by 20, 22 foot long, and so I don't know. I can't speak to the Norwood. I don't know how that came up, but I do like Carpenter's channel. 5 cows are needed to produce enough biogas for a single home. Really, Tom? Really? Well, that's interesting. Maybe I have to revisit that. On this side of the pond, we use solar hot water. Yes, solar hot water. If you go to, I've been, in Israel, and on every rooftop I saw a solar hot water heater. We do have electric to supplement. So, solar hot water heater is a good thing. What do we got here? What do you think about circulating water from a 4-acre, 20-foot deep pond through a heat exchanger to supplement greenhouse cooling? Greenhouse cooling, yes, Tony. I think that's a good deal. If you have an evaporative end wall, a lot of the have an evaporative cooling end wall, and they have a hard time bringing the temperature down more than like 4 to 5 degrees below ambient. I like your idea of lowering that down with a pond. If you got a pond big enough, which looks like you do, if it's 20 foot deep, that's nice. So you might be getting some 58, 60 degree water out of the bottom of that pond by the time it gets through the greenhouse. They make evaporative cooling walls, and but running that cold water through there would be an awesome thing. So I like it. We're going to put a chiller in a greenhouse, but I'm not ready to share that with you yet. Also, a heat pump water heater will cool your living space. Yeah, Adam, you bring up a great subject. The Doc Ops asked the question on the chat here about using other ways to do hot water. The heat pump water heaters are they have their place, and they typically, the compressor can run off of solar, and the Cadillac of heat pump water heaters is the Stiebel Eltron. I can't remember the model. Just look up Stiebel Eltron. They are probably the best heat pump water heater. And the beautiful thing about a heat pump water heater is it'll take the heat out of your home and put that into the water to heat the water, and it'll also dehumidify the space that it's in. So it can be a very smart device to your home. And so say you had a wood stove and that's how you heated. You're basically throwing an extra indirectly. You're throwing wood on the fire to heat water indirectly. But that's a neat option too, is the heat pump water heaters. The Geyser's a great retrofit. I've done several Geyser ROs retrofitted to any tank style water heater, electric water heater. They can run on 110 volt, and they'll heat about 60 gallons of water in an hour. I think that's their rate. So there's a lot. The heat pump water heaters, GE they produced a GeoSpring. We tried a few, they work, and they couldn't. I don't know if they had too many service calls. They've given up on it, so you don't see the white and red anymore. So, all right, Wood-Mizer seems to be the sawmill of choice. Yes, Russ, it does. I agree with you on that. Heat pump water heater, yes, Matthew. We had the same setup in Israel. Yes, sir. That's Stuart. That's where I saw so many hot water heaters that were solar on the rooftops in Israel. Where do you get your water storage tanks at? Oh, good question. Let me show you where I get my water storage tanks at. Let me pull this one over here. Can you see that? Where? Oh my, I lost the chat. No. Rotoplas. Man. Why do I keep losing the chat? Oh, can you see this? I hope you can. Full webcam. All right. North American Rain Systems. Got a good friend, Joshua. He's close to me in South Carolina, but he'll ship anywhere in the country. He's got good prices. But they have Rotoplas, several different. Let's by brand. What do they have? Rotoplas, Norwesco, and Polymart. What I really like lately are the Rotoplas tanks. They have huge manway covers, so even big fat guys like me can get in them if I have to, and they're relatively inexpensive. So, I remember paying $1 a gallon for storage tanks. So I'm showing you all these tanks. I use a lot of the above ground, mostly the green, and they do not allow sunlight in to cause algae growth. And so I like the Rotoplas tanks, and they're reasonable. Remember, we had to buy tanks at $1 a gallon and then pay almost $1 a gallon for shipping because they're difficult. I go pick them up. Here's a 1,200 gallon tank for $750. They're great. They're tough, good plastic. And on these, just a side note, what I try to do is I bury them. They're not buriable tanks, but I put them in the ground at least till the plumbing is below the frost line. That's typically what I do. Saves a lot of money. Keeps the water cool in the tank. Keeps your pipes from freezing. So I don't want to have any exposed plumbing. So we call them swamp. Okay, where did we go? We call them swamp coolers here in Florida. John, I don't think did the swamp coolers work in such a high humidity environment? Swamp coolers only work out west. They work in dry environments. You'll be cool, but if you're in a swamp cooler environment, you're going to be soaking wet by the end of the day. So, Thrasher, I engineer mist cooling system worldwide for cooling and many other technologies. That is an expensive way to do greenhouse cooling. Okay. One of the largest greenhouses in the U.S. Blah, 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 blah. Cherry Lake. Wow, there's so many cool things you guys are talking about on here. Recirculating vapor coolers don't work very well. Agreed, Tony. You just can't get below the dew point. That's the problem in the south with air conditioning. Unless you get below the dew point, you're not doing anything. The humidity's so high, and you've got to get below the dew point to do any work. And we need, the dew point moves, but it takes energy, and that's why Tony's here. He's a heat and air guy, and he knows what that compressor is. Why he has a thriving business. He's got to keep those compressors running to produce, to evaporate refrigerant, to produce the cooling enough to get the humidity out of these homes and structures. So, excuse me. We use them on greenhouse. Well, that's different. A greenhouse. I thought, John, you were talking about, you know, you're right. We got so many conversations going on here, but that's cool. Greenhouse, you want a high humidity environment, so the swamp cooler. That's what that evaporative wall is in many professional businesses that use greenhouses. They have evaporative walls, which is basically a swamp cooler. I just want to live in the desert. Can't use them in the U.S. Okay, there's a lot of people that lived in the West where it's dry that use swamp coolers. They've moved to the East, South, and they just they don't work. They tend to wear out fairly frequently. Okay, what if you close the system for evaporation to cool it down? I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question. All right, what else? We're going here pretty good. Well, I was hoping to, maybe some people were interested, and I might still do that, and that is to take you through the process of, I was going to help Mr. Manning design a water pumping system for his farm. And what I usually use is a tool. You're all familiar probably with Google Earth, and I'm up in Pennsylvania now on the Allegheny River, and there's this farm that looks like an old gravel bank, but this is the place that he gave me to use to show everybody what I do for the solar water pumping. I'm going to just talk about it briefly because you brought up tanks, and so what I'm going to do here, the guy gave me a position of his well, I think, and Google's great for this. And let me just say one thing, if you don't know how to do this, Google Maps, and do I actually have my Google Maps up here? I don't. Some people don't. You can get the GPS coordinates on Google Maps by just right-clicking, and when you see what's here, you click on that, and that'll give you the decimal equivalent of your latitude and longitude of that point. And then you can take that and cut and paste it and pop it in Google Earth, and then go to a place like Google Earth. The cool thing about Google Earth, if you notice down here in the lower right corner near my head, you're going to see the GPS coordinates. You also see the elevation change. And this is a beautiful thing. I've designed many water systems just using the GPS coordinates, and you can take, and I can, say this is the well down here, and I want to figure out piping lengths and what I have to do to figure out the right size pumping. So we're going to basically make a path, and we're going to come up this slope. I don't know if you can see me going up this slope, and I'm going to go over to this tank. Well, I'm going to call it a tank. So I've gone from the well, which is at 1,222 feet, and then I'm going to go up here to 1,345 feet, and I'm going to set a tank. So the nice thing about Google Earth, it also traces the contour. It's really accurate for designing water systems. It's close enough for ordering the right amount of pipe and figuring out your friction loss and all that stuff. So if I wanted to take and distribute water and do a solar water pumping job and put water on this whole property, I would find the highest point, and I'd put one of those Rotoplas tanks that I showed you before. And do I still have those tanks up? I guess I lost the tank page. Oh, where are you, tank page? Rotoplas. I'd put up, see these tanks? Say we take this 1,000-gallon tank. I would take and put that up on this hill here. So the cool thing is, got a path there, and you can do all sorts of cool stuff in Google Earth. And I can call it the tank. But I don't want to waste too much of your time on this. I'm just going to do quickly. I'm going to put the tank up here. So when I have a well, and I'm going to pump water from the well up to this tank, and I'm basically right about 110 feet. Now 110 foot in elevation, if you divide that by 2.31, that's going to determine the amount of PSI you have. So if we do that, and we do 120, let's just say it's 120 feet, divided by 2.31, okay, that's going to give me 52 PSI down here at the well. And with that kind of elevation, I can push water all over this property. And the cool thing is, I've taken my solar panel driven pump, and pumped water up, and I'll show you what I mean, what I'm talking about. So I take something like this. We've got a well, and we got some solar panels and a submersible pump down in the well. Here's the well in the center of the diagram. You are a big old pepper. Oh boy, here's the pepper. I gotta watch out. We got people coming in here. A lot of trolls, huh? All right, time to block. Sorry, folks. We got, man. Yes, sun pump. Hold on to that thought, Adam. What states have good incentive programs for renewable energy? Chance, South Carolina does. I know that. What if you close this and average cool down? Okay, got some. Had to deal with some trolls. Elijah just had his last day of school today. He's wore out. He couldn't do it. All right. Sorry, I got rid of a bunch of trolls on that last one. So back to my slide. I hope everybody can see this slide. I start in the center with the well. I determine the specs of the well. I need to know the well depth. I need to know things like the static water level, the recovery rate of the well, and things like the drain down. But basically, there's like 4 numbers I need. And once I know what you have for a well, then I determine what kind of pump needs to go in the well. And if it's a solar pumping job, I'm pretty much sticking with Grundfos SQ Flexes. I might vary a little bit. Somebody mentioned sun pumps. They don't have the capabilities that the Grundfos pumps have. I can pump 40 gallons a minute. I can go down to 840 feet in pump water. So they're a lot more versatile. I find them to be a beautiful, awesome submersible well pump. And good question, Stu. Where's Elijah? Sorry, you guys. Hopefully, are you still there? I got rid of a bunch of trolls on that last batch. And so, anyway, I am. What I try to do, see the pump curve off here to the left, this chart. It's basically matching up a pump to what your well can produce. And I always try to stay a little bit below the recovery rate of the well. I don't want to out-pump your well. And a lot of wells I can't even come close to, but there's a lot of low recovery rate wells that I have to deal with. Hello, caring for the flock. Nice to have you too. So I don't know what we got going on here. Block. We got some people I've got to block. All right. Wow. So anyway, as we go through here, we're selecting a pump, and once we have a pump that matches your well and how much water you need, we then select that pump, we put it in the well, and then we're going to pump up to the elevation. So if we go back to Google Earth, and so we've got our well, and hopefully you can kind of see this was the well location. We're pumping up this slope. In doing so, you might have to pump a long ways away. So you want to make sure you figure out how many gallons a minute are you pumping and what size pipe. And that's figuring out the friction loss. You don't want to burn up all your elevation by pumping through too small of a pipe. So you want to make sure your pipe is sized correctly. There are pipe sizing charts. It's easy to figure out. Hello there, Australia. Awesome. Hey, weapons machinist. We've been talking about a lot of stuff here so far, so welcome to the chat. We're going through, we're helping a gentleman in Pennsylvania. Maybe he'll come back and look at this. I had a guy from a farm in Pennsylvania wanted help to figure out how to design a solar water pumping system, so that's what I'm going through now. I do this with people all over the country. I enjoy doing it. It's fun. It helps them pick the right pump, the right pipe, the amount of pipe, the size of the pipe, the size of the tank. And this is another key that I have found. This is the most efficient use of solar, hands down. Solar PV direct solar water pumping. And that is, just pumping water directly up to a tank. Man, there's a lot of trolls tonight. I cannot believe this. Well, we can take them out pretty quick too. So anyway, I have banned a lot of people. So we're pumping water up to an elevated tank, and this, if you can do this, and you can simplify this. It's great. What I do from my tanks is put an overflow line. You can kind of see two lines on here. I did that on purpose, that one of the lines is actually an overflow. Now that can go to a pond. There's a low area here. You could overflow to a pond. You could overflow to another garden area. Here's a pond over here we could flow to. We could flow it to the Allegheny River if we wanted to. The reason I like that is just mechanical. There are no. I could drop a control wire in here and put a float switch. That's one way to turn the pump off when the tank is full. But because I'm solar water pumping, what happens every day? The pump turns off because the sun goes down. So the other thing I can do, if you're concerned about wasting water, pumping too much water, you can turn the solar panels out of the sun. So if you have an array here that has, solar panels on it, you don't have to face it to you can detune it by changing the pitch or the azimuth or the angle of rotation. And so do you have smaller pipe to the tank or from the tank? Not exactly sure what that question. I usually use the same size pipe. Sometimes the overflows I will do smaller to save some money, but the supply line that goes from the well to the tank, that line is the line that I tee off of and distribute water everywhere. Okay, I just use one line. You can do this all with one line. You do not have to have a return line. Okay, you can do everything with one line and supply your entire farm, homestead, what have you, and save yourself some money. Now, I was talking about float switches, and what they end up becoming with a wire in the ground is a huge, very long antenna, and they can cause damage to controllers and things. So I try to stay away from it, try to keep it mechanical, try to keep it right down to just a solar panel and a pump, and that eliminates a lot of headaches down the road. Are there servers available to help me go off grid? Yes, Uriel, definitely is. Contact us. Riverview Farms, when did you show up in here? We are leasing this as a reclaimed gravel pit to run beef feeders on for the summer. Cool. All right, so the guy, I didn't see Mr. Manning on here, David, on here, so glad. Welcome to the chat. And so we're using your gravel pit. I'm assuming the placement, maybe you can help me out here, of what you sent me was the actual well location. I assumed it was, so I'm going for it. And every 5 minutes I gotta block some trolls. The live feed stopped a few times using Firefox tonight. Bummer. I don't know why. Alright, so we are so that's cool. This guy's gonna run cows. This is an old gravel bank, and he needs water to supply his cattle. So he has access to a very large amount of acreage, it looks like. So what I would do is to pump the water. Let's see, is that Dave? Yeah, okay, it is. Go back to OBS. Alright, so where did the live chat go? There you guys are. Okay, cool. So Dave, does that make sense? The well is on top. Well, I don't know where the well is, where you have set the tank. Ah, well, then I don't have to gravity feed. So he's already got his well on top. Well on top is kind of the worst place to drill a well, but if that's where the well is, that's fine. And then he can gravity feed to the tank. So it's even easier. His well is already up there. So what I would do with Mr. Dave is just, again, I'd get the specs for that well, looking at my diagram again, and then I would pump to the cistern or a tank, and I would partially bury it in the ground, and then I would gravity feed to all of his waterers. I think he uses the Midwest tire tanks. Let me show you some of those. Midwest tire tanks is an option for people that they're really cool waterers. I use the Miraco. I use the ball waters from Mirafonts. I've had great success with those on my farm, and they work really well. So these are just two different options. The Midwest tire tanks. There's Ritchie's. There's a whole bunch of options that are pretty beefy and bull-proof, cattle-proof, and you want that. What an awesome thing it is to have these waters on your farm. The water stays cool. I like these better. I find these, there's nothing with the tire tanks. The water's still exposed. It turns into a frog pond. My opinion. They're probably cheaper, but give me my Mirafonts any day because there's no water in the sunlight, and these things have been flawless for 3 years on my farm. So anyway, just saying. Let me get back to the chat because I'm probably getting trolls again. They're covered up when they claimed it. Yes, they are great tanks. Tires are free. Gotcha. So everything comes down to budget and who covered it up. What? So yeah. Anyway, so back to Google Earth, and Mr. Riverview Farm up in Pennsylvania has this. He's got another farm, but he's also running the cattle on this. So I don't know if there's any vegetation at all on it. I don't know how he's feeding them, but that's another story. So the well and the tank are going to be close together, and then he can gravity feed the entire property. So solar water pumping is, to me, a no-brainer in this type of application. He has very little piping. He just needs to pump up to a tank. And, you know, the neat thing is the hotter it gets, the more water that the cattle need, the more the pump is going to run. So it's a you know, a lot of times people oversize their waters, their tanks, and you don't need to do that. You'd be surprised, you know, when a pump is running 10, 12 hours a day, how much water, you know, 3, 4, 5,000 gallons of water a day, you can take care of a lot of cattle. I don't know how many cattle you're running on this farm, Dave. Can you tell us that? It's very green. The picture is April. Okay, so this is all greened up, and so he's got cattle on here, and they are dirt eater cattle. So I'm sorry I don't have a new image of this. I don't. Can I? Let's see. Can we change the other thing? Let's see if we can get a better looking. No, this is April. Okay, that is April of this. What? The newest image I have is April 2014. Sorry. So he says it's green now. Would the SQ Flex pump be able to replace a standard submersible bored well pump? Yes, Mr. Thrasher. If so, what would you expect the monthly power savings to be? Okay. The SQ Flex pump can replace a standard submersible pump. It's not going to. It still has to pump the same amount of water. The cool thing about the Flex pump is that it is not a centrifugal pump. It's a rotor pump. It starts at 0 amps. There's no locking rotor amps, and so it starts at 0 and ramps up. So it's going to run around 3 to 4 amps, where a regular well pump runs about 9 to 12, depending on your well depth. So it should, from the power savings, should be half of your current electric pump. Most electric pumps are overkill, and most wells are usually a horsepower, and they typically oversized. 30 to start this year. I think 30 is the number of cattle. So I don't know if I answered your question, Mr. Thrasher, Mr. Tony, on the SQ Flex. Google is not updating. Yeah, I don't know why. Does this look anything like you plot of land river? Do you have a preferred solar panel caring for the flock? I did, but the ones that I had preferred have gone out of business. Suniva and Solar World is struggling because of the influx of cheap panels from Asia. The Chinese are just they're dumping container loads of panels at really good prices, and the panels perform well, and so there's just no stop. Somebody's got to either stop that, or I don't know. I'm not going to get into the politics of it all, but there's a glut of cheaper panels from made in India, made in China, made in Singapore, Thailand, you name it, and so people are going bankrupt here. Suniva and restructuring to try to compete. So my favorite was Sharp. That was years ago. And then Solar World, I just love the frames, and the Sunivas were really tough. I just like the look of Solar Worlds, but the poor company is like going down the tubes. I hope they don't. So on our farm, we developed a spring trainer. There's a ton of pressure in that system. Yes. Have you ever worked on a system for an earth ship? What is your impression of them? When I have to run our house on a 5,000 watt generator during ice storm, it really bogs down the generator time. The well pump. Yeah, it would, Tony. That, I can run the SQ Flex pump, pumping plenty of water on 1,000 watts. A 1,000 watt generator has no problem running on one of these pumps. A little Honda EU 1000 or 2000 does a great job running the pump because they're only pulling 3 amps, 120 volt. Maybe 450 watts tops to produce 5 gallons a minute. And again, remember, you're living off the bladder tank, not the pump per se. When your pressure is coming from your bladder tank, not the pump. Though the pump creates the pressure. I hope that makes sense. Are we sure of the China products? Is there enough history of their products? No, we're not sure. I've used a bunch of them. Suntech being the one in Top Point being another, and they've done really well. We may have to pump from the pond to start until I can uncover the well. The reclaim service covered it back. Oh no. Not good. So the gentleman here is from Riverview Farms that's on the chat. He was trying to find the well. He just started farming this piece of property, and he was going to find the well and talk to me about it. We're going to talk about it today. And so it looks like you're going to pump out of the pond. If you're going to pump out of the pond, oops, lost my microphone, and you want a surface pump, the Sun-Centric that I did today is just, man, that pump is awesome. So I have a picture of that photo this week. This pump is just an amazing. If you want to water those cattle out of the pond, the nice thing about this pump, Dave, is that it, I don't know, I called you Danny, but it's Dave Manning. This pump is so quiet, and it pumps 65 gallons a minute. You're not going to get that out of any other out of a submersible pump. It has a cast iron head centrifugal pump, and it's very forgiving. So pumping water out of a pond is great with this thing, and you could pump it up to a tank and gravity feed it down. So if you need a surface pump to take care of the water for the animals, and you want to do it on solar without batteries, I highly recommend this pump. You buffered during your answer. I missed half of it. You would... Oh, really? Not good. So the SQ Flex pump, half the power, half the cost of running. It's an expensive pump. You're looking at a $1,900 pump compared to a $500 standard well pump. But it can run off of DC, it can run off of AC, it can run off of small generators when the ice storms come, and you can keep pumping. So that's keep trying, Matt. All we can do. What's Matt? What would Matt say? I missed that. Is the pump close coupled? Is this pump close coupled? Which pump? The pump that I'm showing in the diagram right now? I'm not sure what you mean by close coupled. Yes, Sun-Centric Riverview Farms. It's a Sun-Centric. This is a 7526. There's 10 models, and we just would have to size it to get the right. We just, let's talk. Send me an email, and that Sun-Centric is a beautiful pump. How do you calculate how many gallons per minute a well can deliver? That's usually done, Paul, during the drilling process. Now, they usually determine that. The other way that you determine how many gallons a minute a well produces is a drawdown test, where you have a sonar gun and a flow meter, and you start pumping. You have a test pump you put in the well. You start pumping water out of the well, and as you do that, you come to a place called the drawdown of the well, where the well kind of hits a steady state place where it doesn't draw down anymore, and that you determine that's the place. And you find that out with a sonar gun, because you're going down. Say you start at 50 foot and you come down to 60 foot and you come down to 75 foot, and it just levels off at 80. That's your drawdown. Okay, you might have pumped down 20 feet from your static to your drawdown. You find that with using the sonar device. I use the Eno Scientific device, and then you actually pump water out with a flow meter. So when you get down, it's two things: you got to get the well stabilized while you're pumping, and you measure the flow at that point, and that's where you determine the gallons per minute that a well can deliver. And that's the scientific way of doing it, and that's how people do it. I find very, very few people actually do a drawdown test. And so actually put it. Okay, I'm actually working on putting together a 50,000 acre farm project, and I was hoping to have some more knowledge for the meetings with tech companies so I don't sound dumb. Well, Matthew, if I can help you in any way, let me know. And maybe we need to do some of that offline. Send me an email, and that's a serious project. But a lot of times, all of my water pumping projects come around to producing food, and that's very, very useful and helpful. Is the impeller bolted to the end of the motor shaft, or is there? Oh, I got you, John. It is bolted. There's no. It doesn't have like a Lovejoy coupling, if that's what you mean. It is actually bolted. Friday night is bandwidth destruction night. Yeah, who's doing the destruction of the bandwidth? I don't want to know. So, youngsters are typing their fingers off on Fridays. Okay. Hey, it's Vosh. You're back. Oh, cool. Good to see you. The well question: calculating the liters per minute. Yes, I did answer that question. Hopefully, it didn't buffer out. Really? So, I don't know why. I'm going to get this thing turned up. The internet service that I have, I do got a good relationship with them. They're a small company, and they can make adjustments and speed me up and give me more bandwidth. And I will get that if I'm causing the problem. I can't tell if it's on my end or you're on your end, because some people say there's nothing buffering. Damn, as you are responding to me. All right, so Matthew, I don't know if it's on Matthew's side or it's on my side. Sounds like he needs a construction company for landscaping. I think it's Scott's upload speed. It shouldn't be. I'm at 30 megabits per second. I should be more than, I should be doing fine. I don't know what happened here. So let me just do a little speed test here right now to see if I've crashed. Yeah, I don't know why. If it's me or not. I'm going to try to do one over top of this. So, all right. Yeah, Matthew, let's do that. Let's do it on the side because you keep freezing. Well, that is just not. It's just not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. I'm gonna shut this thing off. I'm on Android there. All right, folks. I am cranking it tonight. For me, when living off grid here, I'm at 50 megabits per second. I'm actually, all right, so just so you know, all right, I'm doing a little speed test here of, well, my download is 50, my upload is 18, so they tell me that's more than sufficient to do YouTube Live, but maybe it isn't. So I got really good download speed for what I have. I have a relaying radio-based internet system, a little solar battery charger out in the pasture. My crazy internet. But for where I live, that is good. So do you see that cranking there now? How are we doing on the chat? Come on, go back to the chat, Scott. Finally found that this chat pops out, so it helps me a lot. Questions keep coming in, but your image freezes. So I'm doing about 20 megabits upload. Maybe that's not enough. Does anybody out there know? Is that enough to do what I'm doing? Seems low to me. Yes, was buffering here in New Jersey. Looking good on my end. Scott, do you upload a recorded live stream when it's over? Yes, it my light hope it automatically posts to my channel when it's over. So everything that I've said does get recorded and gets posted. So no, it's happening everywhere unless you're running fiber optics. Working good now. It's good. Good now. Working good. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna not run that speed test again. And anyhow, so. Yeah, there's a lot of rip-offs in the internet world. Okay, any other questions? I don't know if I helped Mr. Riverview Farms. We're probably going to do some, we'll get back next week and show you the solution that we came up with and going through what I call my thought process for designing solar water pumping systems. Whether they're submersible pumps, whether they're surface pumps, we don't care. They can be brass radial valve pumps, centrifugal pumps, rotor pumps. I'm like the Bubba Gump Pump Company. That's what I'm going to start calling myself. So we feel like we have every pump type for pumping water for any application when it comes to not commercial but farming, residential, preparedness. We got the pump, and we also have the mechanical hand pumps as well. Good here. Wow. Is the impeller bolted to end of the motor shaft, or is there a coupling? No, there's no coupling. It's bolted, John. Okay, I will have to confirm, but the speed looks good. Thanks, Troy. Ignore the last 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left? Well, I don't know what that means. I'll convert my koi pond to a natural swimming pool soon, solar powered. Yeah, that's cool. I really like the sun-centric. If you're looking for an alternative to your pool pump, a lot of people spend up to $200 more on their electric bill running pool pumps in the summer, and this pump that I've been showing tonight is a very good option. This sun-centric is a really cool option. I don't know why I can't zoom in on it, but that's a really neat pump that I think would work really good for a swimming pool. Check out solar heat pump system called Sun Pump. Okay, yeah, there's Sun Pump and also Sun Bandit. That's the other one. If you're still on here, Doc Ops was the other way to do, and I forgot to tell you that. So check out Sun Bandit. Sun Bandit is another great one. Geyser RO, Stiebel. I guess I haven't been typing enough in this chat. Stiebel Eltron. These are solar hot water solutions. And do you have secondary backup pumps? Oh yes, have many of them. What is a good way to cool the panels on a hot day? That's a good question, Donald. There's some projects there. There's people that have systems that are off the shelf. They're circulating water using a PV pump, PV direct pump to pump water through the backs of the panels through heat exchangers and pull the heat off of the panels. That's pretty cool. Adam, you've installed the Sun Bandit. Awesome. Adam, did you do it on your own house or did you do it for a customer? I'm curious. Russ, when you have a wet ground area, what is your temporary ground cover of choice? Ah, boy. Austrian peas. Depends what I'm doing. Is it ground cover for gardening next year? You know, of course, I'm doing whatever can put the most protein, nitrogen, I should say, back into the soil. Whatever happened to that weird hot water system from Inman that we saw at Prepper Camp? I don't know, Stuart. I did see something on social media where that still was being pushed around. It is a weird one. Not necessarily a big fan of it. It looked too homemade. But if you're still looking, the Sun Bandit has come a long way. If you want something that isn't plumbing intense, it is using electricity, kind of like those air conditioners. So if you wanted something as reliable as those air conditioners on the dog kennel we talked about, I would consider Sun Bandit. You're going to spend a lot of money though, but it's an awesome product. Sun Bandit. For a customer. Okay, Adam, very cool. Integrated into radiant heating and domestic hot water. Use the Sun Bandit as a boiler. Yeah, folks, I mean, the Sun Bandit is a pretty impressive product. Nicely made. They got some really good diagrams and sketches and things on their website, and so it's cool. Look at panels, NOCT, not just SC. It's designed to replicate a hot California summer roof temp. Yes, a lot of people don't look at the NOCT rating, not the standard temperature rating. So that's a good reminder. It's Vosh. I have no idea what it's Vosh. That reminds me of Vache is cow. I think it's French for cow. So it's cow. That's every time I see it's Vache, I want to say it's cow. Sorry. All right. I am. I don't know. I'm sorry about the bandwidth. I don't know if that's my problem, but the most efficient way to heat water is, it's still efficient. That's a on demand. It's going to be probably propane in terms of efficiency and speed. Sustainability, solar, hands down. I mentioned the Sun Bandit because of the ease of not having to plumb and have circ pumps and copper, and I can actually just take an array of panels, say 8 to 9 panels, plumb and wire them all in series, plug them into their inverter, and plug them into the tank. Done. Hard to beat. Really hard to beat. Thanks, Mr. Campbell. Didn't there used to be solar panels that they're used to heat water? Yes, I mean the evacuated tubes, the flat panel, using solar thermal to heat water is still an amazing thing. It's a good thing, and it works. If you can store the energy to get you through the time when you don't have solar, it really works. Rocking it in the live room. Solar thermal. Solar thermal's awesome. That's fine. Maybe a Brahmin bull with a bad temper. Oh, the trolls have found me again. Goodbye. Got you on that one. Solar thermal hybrid PVT. PVT. I don't know what that means. PV thermal. Seen you moving very carefully through with the boom on that wind job. You better believe it. I think you were more into safety than videotaping. Russ, if you saw the rental company that we rented that from, I was like, I didn't think anything on the yard would run. It was a scary place. So we pulled that boom lift out of the weeds, and so it was not a new JLG boom lift. It was a very unmaintained boom lift. So I don't, falling from 35 feet would have killed me good. So Russ, I don't, it's you'd have to see where we picked this thing up. You might not want to go up 10 feet in it. So elect and water. Nice. I'm not sure. Evacuate. Yeah, I don't know what we got really on the solar hot water tonight. So yeah, there's evac tubes, flat plate. There's biomass, propane. Gosh, I mean, you got heat pumps. We talked about heat pumps tonight. I'm just typing some stuff in the chat room here. Heat pump technology. What am I forgetting? The PV direct to the elements. You've got diversion load controller. That can do it. So ton of it. What I forget? Did I forget any ways? There's so many ways to heat hot water. Heating hot water is one of the most overlooked things in sustainability and preparedness because it just is. It's a harder thing to accomplish. So I got a lot of glare. Sorry about the glare, but I need my glasses. This darn chat window's so small. Wow, that is a hell of a delay with the video. Really? I am not happy with it. Okay. was thinking solar with DC heating elements. Yeah, solar, and that's what the Sun Bandit really is. Even an AC heating element is just a resistive loop. You can hook solar directly to any AC water heating element and heat water. I've done that with putting panels in series to get the voltage up and just heat water, boil water. You can do it with PV Direct. Compost water heating, that was another one brought up the last week. Compost water heating, yes sir, Matthew. Just let it delay and you won't go into buffer mode as much. Just let it delay. Okay. Alright, we talked about PV water pumping, we talked about solar hot water pumping, and next week I'm going to talk about a lot of times we get into this technology that's maybe a little bit too complicated. Let's talk about some simple things next week. I'm going to be going up to North Carolina to install a few hand pumps. I'm going to talk about that. Yes, caring for the flock. I do have a book. Let's see here. How can I do something quick here? Shameless plugs. Copy link address. Go back here. Oh, the chat window. I don't know if that even comes up. Did that work? Could caring for the flock. I did put a link to my book in there. Yep, element is just a resistor. Should work with AC and DC. It does. I've tried it. Trip Zero. Just hooking up regular elements from 1500 watts to 4400 watt. Regular $8 to $10 water heating elements, and turn them bright red. And we were going to use them for branding our cattle with solar one day. They were so red. Red loops. Sent you a PM. Okay, Joseph, I appreciate that. Proving out what's available for solar trickle water pumping. Solar trickle water pumping. Want to trickle fill cistern. We just proving ground. You just you can put a less power to the solar pump. You can use a smaller pump. There's tons of different options. If we do like these Grundfos, we can do a 3 SQF3, pick a small pump, pump in a couple gallons a minute. We can detune it. There's a lot of ways to just trickle fill. The neat thing is some of these pumps have low water sensors in there, so if you're out pumping your source, it'll not hurt the pump. It'll shut down. So I don't know if that helps you proving ground or not. And there's also a trick called a dole valve, a D-O-L, like dole pineapple, D-O-L-E. If you look up dole valves, that's kind of cool too. The dole valve, I'm going to look those up. That can help you regulate, so you can pump. The dole valve is a regulated, simple, self-cleaning valve that will allow, they're rated so you can get a 2 gallon a minute dole valve, and that's all it's going to go through that, no matter what you throw at it. If I can get you into a pen to do some videos, would you come to Ozark, Missouri? I think I would, buddy. Let's talk about that. I'm not exactly sure what I can do, what you want me to do there, but so just call me, buddy, and we'll talk about that. I'd love to see pens more. We've got a lot of customers out in Missouri, and I'd also like to hook up with a couple of the solar installers out there. So yeah, let's talk about that when we have a chance. You should put in a ram pump, proving if you have elevation. What? I've put in so many ram pumps, Russ B. My ram pump's been running here since 1998 and pumping 1,500 gallons a day to elevation of 120 feet. So yeah, I love ram pumps, and I've put a lot of them in. That's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. That's probably, I'm at almost 20 years. I'm at 19 years of pumping 1,500 gallons a day with a hydraulic ram pump, so they work. Make a CH4 digester. Need more yard, though. Yes. That's why I use the gasifier. It produces a lot of methane, but I hear you. Go Trip Zero, do it. Cool, we'll call soon. Yeah, just don't call me tonight. It's been a long day. My brain's not firing on all cylinders. So, and yeah, let's just call me this weekend, buddy. All right. Oh, what some other cool slides and things. I talked about equip, that website. I'm gonna stick some of these things in this chat. I really liking this. I detached the chat window so I can actually see what it's doing and pop some things in there. It's pretty cool. Permaculture is middle ground of not discriminate and discriminate thinking. Not sure where we're going there. Burn methane, ram pumps. Okay. The other thing is, just throw out there if if there's a topic you wanted to talk about, that maybe we've covered on other videos, but you want more in-depth information, just let me know. What kind of gasifiers have you used? I have used the Victory Gasworks gasifier. That's my favorite. That was a birthday present, and I've used some homemade jobs that don't work that well. They work. And the Leaf is the other one I've used out of Tennessee. I don't think they're making them anymore. But if you know of another company, there was Stax was another one, Vulcan, I think. But I've only used 3 different types of gasifiers, other than the stoves, the Super Dragon, the T-Lud updraft gasifier, and the some of the biomass stoves, the small cooking stoves, gasifiers, and the wood gas camp stove is a gasifier. Other than that, to run engines, only 3. What do you think the lowest creek elevation drop and distance and pipe diameter would be and still work? The ram pump comment was for proving. The lowest, I don't like to use more than less than 5-foot elevation drop. And then you need your drive pipe is like 5. It's either 4 times the fall, or 5 times the fall, or 6 times the fall, depending on the fall. These numbers have been developed empirically. I have a whole video series on ram pump specifications and getting the right drive pipe size, and that is key. Getting your drive pipe being metallic and having it in the right metallic and the right distance, right length. Does your hydronic system have glycol in it? Yes, sir. Sam Sexton, it does. 5 a.m. for me. Good night, y'all. I'll send you an email. Okay, Matthew in Greece. Take care. Appreciate the questions. Really good questions. Sam, does your hydronic system have glycol in it? Yes. We're running 30% glycol in the chillers. Okay, 27 to yeah. My buddy has a refractometer. I think that's the word. The refractometer tells the percentage of the glycol, because the the heat exchangers are exposed, will bust, and so we have to be careful there in the winter, and so you need to have glycol in it. Density times gravity times height equals head. Yes, are we talking pumping in the hydronic system? Later, Matt. Not exactly sure. All right, we're kind of get to that point. We get about an hour and a half in, and we start kind of, I guess, wandering all over the place. It's not as focused. So I think an hour and a half is a really good length. Of course, don't want it to freeze. Yes, don't want it to freeze. Have you seen the Windhager vacuum-fed pellet boilers? I have not. I kind of stayed away from the pellet boilers just because of the power required to run the augers, the fans. They seem to have a lot of accessories. They probably put out a ton of BTUs. I just don't think that they seem to have these. They got to have too many other accessories and power users. Maybe I'm wrong, Adam, but I've kind of stayed away from the pellet boilers due to their lack of simplicity compared to an outdoor wood boiler or outdoor wood stove. How much PV watts for the trickle fill cistern at 2 gallons per hour? Probably 2 gallons per minute is probably what you mean. I've done systems down to I've got a PV Direct running 265 watt BP solar panels, 130 watts. But a lot of it, I can't tell you proving ground unless you tell me the total dynamic head. I need to know where the water level is to the top of the cistern. Okay, so the water level of the source, whether it's in the well or the spring, I need to know the elevation, the distance, mostly the elevation, and then we size the pump and the solar to get you 2 gallons per minute. You're very welcome, Pura Vida. Thanks for showing up tonight. What's the smallest chiller that you can get for water? The smallest chiller that I know of Trip Zero is the Chiltrix C34X, CX34. It's a 2-ton hydronic chiller. Dump the cold into a geothermal battery. Yeah, the Chiltrix is the smallest. The Multi Aqua is a 3, 4, or 5-ton unit, and so I know the manufacturers. I know both of them. Talk to them both often. At Multi Aqua, they're local and good friends, so I deal with them a lot. But their smallest, depending on what you're doing, is going to be their 5-ton chiller. Are you a Still or Husqvarna guy? Oh, we're going to start a fight. I'm a Husky guy because I'm Scandinavian. How about that? So I'm partial to Huskies, a Husky everything. If I could have a Husky dirt bike right now, I'd have one. But so I'm a Husqvarna guy. I know there's all sorts of preferences, and it's like comparing within that name, but I'm all XPs. So the professional saws made in Sweden, that's the ones that I use, not the ones you buy at Lowe's that are not Huskies, they're just orange. So anyway, that's enough. That's my rant on that. 2 tons, I think. Yeah, 2 tons Pura Vida would be the Chiltrix. They're on our website. If I could run this thing faster, I'd get you. The chillers are on this site. So if you want information about the air conditioning, including the chillers, I just put a link in the chat. Rebuilding Russ, very good. Yeah, I just rebuilt my 371 XP. It's doing great. Can we start over? I was late tonight. Can't believe I forgot today was Friday and missed you. Appreciate it, Fred. Well, it'll post here tonight anyway, so you can go back and listen to it if you'd wish and you'd like, and I appreciate that. And if you've got any questions, you can still add comments to the videos. So all of these videos, the lives will post. Some people don't like the live. I'm still doing regular videos. I'm like 20 videos behind, so we'll get those out to you, the normal project type videos. And KTM purchased Husky. KTM is an awesome dirt bike. So that's not a bad move. I'll take it. Not Black & Decker? No, not Black & Decker. LOL on the stam. Still what? Cam. Still rules. Oh my goodness. Let's start Ford, Chevy, Husky, Still. Let's not go there. Have a great weekend, and see you, Adam. Appreciate the information you provided as well. That's what I like about the chat, and you guys sharing this cool stuff with me as well. Where am I going with this? Don't forget to check out Carolina Drones if you're into the drones. I had spent a couple hours with this expert on drones today, and I was blown away by how smooth they were. And there are smaller chillers than 2-ton. I just don't know about them. Anyway, what do we got? What do we got going on here? Wish the live would post the chat too. I agree with you, last nice guy. Okay, you are over 1.5 and fading fast. Appreciate that, Russ. I appreciate the feedback. Slow connection, Daytona Beach, KTM electric. Yes, electric dirt bike. It's Vosh. Absolutely, I want one so bad. We've got some little electric dirt bikes for my son. We bought 2 of the what are they? The Razors for Christmas. We have electric golf carts, electric dirt bikes. I'm a big fan of electric. Yes, Poulon. Yes, we won't get into that. All right, we're arguing and fighting about chainsaws. Scott, earlier did you say that you can connect panels directly to AC heating elements? Yes, Paul, we can. Cambodia, Paul, we can connect. You can do that, but you got to watch it on the controls, and you better hook it through the thermostat. And the thermostats are not rated for that DC voltage, so you got to be careful. It's an experiment you want to do outside the house, but you can heat a lot of water hooking panels directly to an AC element. Okay, get an electric unicycle. I could hurt myself bad on that. All right, folks, I really appreciate thermoelectric chillers. I don't know about that. Oh, I think you're talking about the Peltier. Anyway, next week, more projects, more technologies, more cool stuff. Appreciate the questions. You guys are great. I really enjoy this, and hope you do too. Hope you're getting something out of it. And when you stop getting anything out of it, we will we might change the frequency at which we do the Engineer775 live. And look forward to. So I see some of you have sent emails to me and links, and I appreciate that. Hopefully you got some of mine I put in the chat. You all have a good night or good morning wherever you are. I know some people it's 5:30 in the morning. For me, it's 10:40 Eastern Standard Time. So appreciate you coming on here. Thanks for putting in your state. I got to see how far everybody was spread out here tonight. That was awesome. All around the world. And that's just cool. So anyway, have a good one. See you next week. God bless everyone. And keep working on your projects and sharing what you do on YouTube. It's an awesome format for it. Take care. Engineer775 signing out.